There are a lot of people who believe priests should be married. They believe that if priests were married, they'd understand us better. They believe that if priests were married, they would be more chaste, which of course, that's not really the problem. They believe if priests were allowed to get married, that there wouldn't be pedophilia and all those other things. So those are separate issues because we know through studying these kinds of things that people who are receiving the marital act from their spouse, that doesn't stop them from doing the bad things. But let's put that aside because actually St. Paul talks about this issue of married priests in a rather indirect way and rather direct way. And so I just wanted to let you know what it says. So if we go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, starting with verse 32, it says this: I should like you to be free of anxieties. An unmarried man is anxious about the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. An unmarried man is anxious about the things of the Lord and how he may please the Lord. But a married man is anxious about the things of the world and how he may please his wife. And he is divided. So it goes on and it talks about unmarried virgin, unmarried men. If you're hot, go and marry the girl, don't sin, blah, blah, blah. But I'd like to focus right there on 32 and 33, because he acknowledges that if you had a wife, a husband would have to necessarily be focused on his wife. I teach marriage classes. I work with engaged couples. I work with married couples. I work with divorced couples sometimes and divorced individuals. So I understand much of the plight that they're talking about. And what scientifically we understand and what based on the Bible we understand is that a husband's first priority is to God, his second priority is to his wife. His third priority then is to his children and job and everything else. Monsignor Mike McCarran, good priest, said once during a homily when he had addressed this issue, exactly what was an example of what was said right there in 1 Corinthians. He said, if I were married, I would have a wife, I'd have children. If my daughter had soccer games or my son had baseball games or my kids got sick, to be a good husband and father, or if my wife was sick, I'd have to be there with her at her bedside. I would have to support her and love her as I should. But then my flock would be lacking. I'd have to be there for my children. And as St. Paul said right here in Corinthians, he is divided. Well, everybody likes to say that St. Peter was married, which he was. But what people don't understand, and I have learned since, is he was expected to be chaste after that. He provided for his wife, and I don't know which children he had. He did his responsibility. But he and his wife, under agreement, were to live chastely because he needed to live for the Lord. He needed to go and lead the flock of God. Now, the church can choose to change this if they wish. But just putting this in terms of what it would mean should help you understand why the church doesn't want its priests married. And that's why Monsignor Mike McCarran said, if I, as a priest, he said, first of all, I love my vocation. I don't want to be married. And I've talked to many, because you know me, I'm bold and I just ask. Many priests have said, no, I would not want to be married to and be a priest. He sees the challenges of his priesthood. He sees that if there's someone sick or dying, he can run to that person's bedside with no encumbrances. He sees that he can be there for the married couple. He sees that he can come and go as quickly as he pleases, as the Lord needs him to feed his flock. So it's not always about sex. It's not always about, oh, he'll get it. That actually will cause a priest to be focused more on his own the flesh, right? I mean, because that's what we are feeding with. Even when we're doing this procreative, this unitive act, when I'm with my husband, when you are with your spouse, we are with the other and not necessarily thinking solely of God. So this chapter, these verses in the Bible refers in part to that. Just don't be divided. Be focused on the vocation God gave you. And for those of you that are single, perhaps, as much as you may desire a spouse, perhaps God is saying, for now, I want you undivided. I want you all to myself. Give God everything you've got. And should he choose to bring you a spouse, you will then have to give that person everything you have. Of course, keeping God first, but you will be divided. I hope this helps. What are your thoughts? Dr. Christine Bacon, thanks for watching this informational Bacon Bit. And as always, remember to live your life sunny side up.